Okay, this video here is a comic book page type pencil stage. Hopefully you'll find this helpful. Thanks, guys. Okay, guys, this is another video I'm putting together, and we're actually going to pick it up from where we left off. So far I covered layouts, how to do like a quick, efficient layout. Then I went into this stage, which is basically the rough stage, the rough pencil stage. And then from here on, I'm going to go to my next step, which would be the final pencils or type pencils. I'm using this page here. This is for a comic I'm working on called Radical. Soon to be released in the US. It's out in Australia, not available here yet, but it's a very fun and interesting story. So hopefully it'll be out soon enough where you guys can read it here in the US. And if you're in the land down under, you can go ahead and read it. And yes, I know that was a really bad Australian accent, but you know what? I always try. And they do say it's one of the hardest accents to do. So there you go. Cut me some slack. Anyway, so here we go. So going right into this part. So if you watched the other videos, you saw how I put these together. So I'm going to go over this rather quickly, just to sum it all up, to just make it easier for those who are just watching this video now. So I start off with a layout there, very rough, and then from there I created my panels and my borders. That way I can isolate the different panels, and then I started drawing in what was necessary as far as using my drawing tools for perspective, so on and so forth, and getting the angles right. So at that point, I just blocked everything in. Now, you'll see that there's a lot of panels here that seem very close to finish. I didn't do that all in one shot. You know, I probably took it as far as blocking certain areas and getting the information I needed, and then cleaned it up. So that's what you have there. So like we can start from the first panel. So once I'm this far on the page where I can see and have the information I need, I go in, I clean up the background, and then I actually do another pass where I correct everything. So what I do is, so I have that, and it gives me all the information as best to my ability, perspective, angle, everything. I'm pretty happy with that, so I figure, okay, that's pretty good. So then from there, that's when I take something like this, I turn down the opacity, or the vector, the layer opacity, and then at that point I come in with another layer and then just really draw in everything tight. All right, tight enough where if you had someone else come in and ink it, they can basically ink it with the information you want to show. So if you look at that there, and that's all on one panel. So depending on what you're doing, I'm actually, for this, I am inking it myself also, so I can get away with certain things. Maybe not even putting certain drop shadows under this soldier. There should be a shadow there, which I do get with my inks. But so that would be as far as I would take this step. And once that's there and clear, what you can do is you can actually, then you can turn off your other layers, and when you think about it, your whole page can look like that. And that can, you know, for most inkers, that's sufficient for them to ink. So then what I do is we just look at the whole page, and then I'll take it from there. So then that's the first panel. Moving quickly, we're going to go to the second panel. It's actually behind this one, so my order had to be different as far as my layers on the right. If you take a look there, okay, this panel here, being that it was just such a straight shot, I was able to from my rough layout go right in and just start drawing. And the drawing itself was so tight, or I found it so tight, that I inked right on top of that. Okay, and again, my process is different for this because I'm doing both duties. I'm actually inking and penciling, but this right here is actually maybe with like maybe another 10-15 minutes of sorting things out. I would say that's good for most inkers to come in and do their thing, be able to ink. Okay, and then going on to the next panel, it's basically the same thing happened here, where it was so simple. I was able to get in all the information I needed right away. And as a matter of fact, his hair should be longer in the back. I did fix that afterwards. Again, luckily for me, since I'm doing other duties, I'm able to correct that. Those are the inked lines. So this would be cleaned up a little bit more, and then your again, your inker could do his thing. So for me, I like to have the whole page all on the same stage. Maybe for some reason you won't have to do that, or you won't get the opportunity to, depending on what's going on with the actual work and deadlines or what have you. But I like to have the whole entire page at the same stage, which is this here. So this is all pretty tight enough for me to know that I could actually ink afterwards, or start getting in with a real tight drawing and clean it up. So this panel in particular, you would have to get in tight, and like I actually showed on another video of mine that you can actually build your background using a vector layer, and while using that vector layer, I'm able to, you see there, with using the vector layer, I'm able to put in all the objects in the background. That way, when I go to ink, I can do that. So now, if you were going to hand this off to someone else to ink, you basically have most of those lines there. Okay, so that's the background turned off. That's that. And then that's actually my type pencil that I went on, and I went in. So my next, stage here, I tightened up those pencils there. And tighten up those pencils. Let me show you the block there in between. So if you take a look, I'm trying to show you. Putting my block stage. There it is. In my background, my floor. Yeah. So I actually went in there, drew in the characters with just using the pencil tool, and then minded the background by itself. So basically, I isolated the background. That way, I know that's a correct environment, as correct as I can make it. And then I drew in the actual figures, right, by using my rough underneath. Now I dropped the opacity very low. That way, I'm able to understand what I'm doing. I could actually turn off the background and just look at the figures themselves. I drew this through. That way, I know the anatomy is somewhat correct. And I would actually clean it up for the actual final, and that way the if someone else were going to ink it, the inker could do his thing. And as I'll show you here, what I would do is, if I hand this over to someone else, I would actually clean up the layers in between. I would actually get in real close, trace him here, because I would create what's called like a block layer. I call it a block layer. Let's fill that in. Okay, that's filled in. I gotta make sure I have it sitting in the right place. You see, we're gonna name our layer block. Let's look at where this is at. Now the thing is, when you name your layers, you don't have this problem. And I did not name that layer. Figures. Right? Figures. And then background. Let's put it under the block. There you go. All right. So that's the block. Actually, I misspelled block there. Backgrounds. Okay, and we have an actual line there. We have this some extra lines wandering there, which I must have drawn that somewhere. Okay, let's get rid of that. We will clean it up, get rid of any non-important information. That's the background. That's the block I created. That's the figure. So actually, in the figure layer, I actually I must have been trying to correct this, and that's why this here is sitting there. So being that I'm inking myself again, that's why I did that. I was just checking to make sure he was standing in the right position. And if you look at my actual final, it will make a lot more sense. Sorry, I'm not trying to confuse you guys, but I want you to see what it would actually look like. There you go. So I actually inked it right over, and that's actually what it would look like, because I had all the information I needed. And that's basically what I would do. You know, again, I'm showing you the next step, and it's just a matter of taking what you had underneath and cleaning it up. That way you can send it to the next step, or that way you're ready for your next step. So that right there is enough information for me to just go in and ink myself, or send it to someone to ink. Okay. All right. So just to go over what I did again is this stage here would be, I would say, the type pencil stage, the part where you could actually send it to an inker to do what he needs to do. And this one right here, other than, you know, me having certain things overlapping, would be a lot more cleaner. That way he can do again what he needs to do for inking and adding the line and shadows. And I'm actually cleaning this up right here real quick to just make it a little bit more understandable. So this right here, other than me accidentally inking on this layer, is what it would look like. So I could actually send it, and I would clean it up, because I have one layer in between my background and my foreground figures. Okay, so I'm just cleaning it up real quick. So you basically have it very tight, very clean. That way he'll know what to do. Again, and aside from me making this error here of having these lines on the wrong layer, let's clean that off. So that's just a rough look at what it would look like, clean, or as clean as I can get it. And if we look at the first panel, that's basically it. So from here, I would actually send that over to get inked. And I would say those are 3 basic steps to make your page, or the way I like to work. You know, there's no set hard rules here. You know, a lot of people do things slightly different. Some people do things completely differently. But for the most part, you know, you do need those main stages, which is layout, the rough, the tight, and then maybe even another stage on top of the tight stage, maybe a super tight stage or a rendered stage, depending on how you're working and who you're working with. But having your pencils tight and ready for inking is key. Okay, all right, guys. I would say this closes out this basic look at you know, how to create a comic page. Okay, guys, if anything, and if you have any questions or any clarification, you could check out my Patreon, which I do actually very in-depth, at least 30-minute long videos of what I'm doing here, and break it down. you can message me through there, and I could actually even send you certain videos. Of course, if you become a Patreon on my Patreon account. Okay, guys, have a good one, or you can just leave a comment below, and that's all. Thanks. Thanks for watching, guys, and please check out my Patreon page for more in-depth videos. And please check out my Etsy shop. Search George Vega Art, where you can see over 100 items I have listed there of original art and prints.